skips it to Bear in the corner. Bear, step back, a whistle, and a double dribble is going to be called.
Welcome back to another episode of the Double Dribble. I'm Bryant Dacus.
And I'm Tucker Maxwell. And Bryant, I'm super excited today because we actually have a special, an all-time list special today. We're going to get to go through some of the history books and talk about some of our favorite players and pretty much everyone's favorite players, mostly of our lifetime. We've decided to kind of focus on our lifetime, which is about the last 25 years or so. Are you excited, Mr. Bryant?
I'm pretty excited, and like you said, we talked about it. We went back and forth a little bit on if we wanted to do all-time lists or just modern lists. And I just think, we're both young guys. We didn't see, the Wilt Chamberlains play. I have a ton of respect for those guys. I didn't watch them play, so I don't want to sit here and rank them. I want to rank the guys that I watched growing up as a kid. It's a little nostalgia. Everybody loves lists, so I'm very excited for today's episode. Where do you want to start?
The top 5 players of our lifetime.
Let's do it.
I think that this is a good place to start, and I just want to throw it to you. Just give me your number 5, man.
So number 5, and you gave out a great one that I don't know if it's going to be on your list or not, that I was kind of mad I didn't put at number 5 for me, but I'm going to go Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant has a little soft spot in my heart. 12-time All-Star, 4-time scoring champ, 2-time NBA champion. I don't know, you could say if he was the reason for those championships or not. 9-time All-NBA. I mean, his career, he's averaging 27.2 points, 7 rebounds. I mean, come on. You can't tell me you don't love KD.
Dude, I love KD. I've been in many Twitter arguments myself, arguing that he's
defending KD,
that he's a better basketball player than anyone in the league. I think he's the most skilled player as far as his length and his skill set. He can go off the dribble, catch and shoot, dunk, defend pretty well.
Yeah.
Stats speak for themselves. Like you said, 4-time scoring champ. I think that's a really good number 5. I actually left him off my list.
Outside looking in?
Outside looking in. That's fine. I just learned that acronym from you 2 seconds ago. But
OLI.
Yeah, I wrote down he's on my OLI. I think he's the most skilled player and the best scorer of our lifetime. I really do. But there's something about him with some of the controversies and his attitude. I think he's... I don't know, man. I think he's a little soft, but I've also seen him hit some game winners, buried some threes for game winners where I'm just like, wow, that was crazy.
But my question is always, where did the disconnect start with Kevin Durant? Because, I feel like when he first got into the league, he was this guy that everybody loved. He was the new kid on the block. He was, the media loved him. He was a great interview every single time. And then I guess it was around the time he goes to Golden State, and I don't know, a switch flipped, and now he's this guy that hates talking to the media and, is going after fans and is on Twitter, saying whatever he says on Twitter. And I want to know what was that moment that made him kind of flip from the lovable Kevin Durant to this villain that everyone wants to make him out to be now?
I think it started with the Thunder.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, not to be rude at all, we're just analyzing people and their life.
Yeah.
I'm sure KD's a great person, but obviously there was some sort of insecurity that started early in his life. So that's first and foremost, and I hope he's doing all right.
Yeah.
But as far as his basketball career goes, I think it started in OKC, not being able to close a deal with what we now know as 3 MVPs on your team. And then I think the move to Golden State just, he wanted to do it for himself. That's what he wanted. He wanted to play with Steph. Living in California is nice.
Yeah.
Getting rings is nice, but I think he was insecure about it as well. And, in all of our lives, Bryant, insecurities make you lash out.
Yeah, it happens. But, you're one of the greatest scorers of our generation. If not the best scorer of our generation.
I think he just didn't want to be left out of not getting rings. I think
I could see that. That is a real insecurity.
I think he honestly, as we talked in our last episode about Westbrook, I think he saw he wasn't going to be able to win a ring with Westbrook. I don't think he saw another avenue with LeBron kind of dominating the East all the time. Yeah, I think he was considering the Celtics back then. He was considering the Celtics, which I think could have worked out pretty well with their young talent. But yeah, so I think that's where that all started.
Interesting.
Yeah, but KD definitely probably in most people's top 5 list. For me, I left it out.
It's fine.
Because I looked a little bit further back in time. And for my number 5, I do indeed have Allen Iverson.
Great. That's a great number 5.
That
was the only one that you said before we started. We don't know each other's lists. We're doing this. This is initial reaction of each other's lists. But you did say that you were debating putting Allen Iverson in your list, and when you said Allen Iverson, I don't know why, but Allen Iverson just went completely over my head when I was making my list, and that's a really good one for number 5.
Yeah, I think could go over a lot of people's head because never won a ring, kind of had a bit of a bad ending to his career. Plopping around. He obviously, I think once he lost some of his athleticism, you can only do so much when you're 6 foot tall, arguably 6 foot tall. I think they kind of gave him that one.
Memphis Grizzlies, great, Allen Iverson.
Yeah, I know. He did play like the 3 games for the Grizzlies. Yeah, so I have Allen Iverson, dude.
That's such a good
career
pick.
27 points per game, 6 assists, and he's just a dog on the court, man. He was so much fun to watch too. There's that famous clip of him draining a clutch shot and stepping over Ty Lue.
Oh,
love that shot. We talking about practice?
Practice?
We talking about practice?
An all-time picture, an all-time quote. I mean, yeah, he's an all-time guy.
Oh yeah, and I think the other thing is he had a huge influence on people. Everyone wanted to be like
basketball culture, just the culture in general.
For someone that never won a ring, which let's put this out there that he did take a pretty garbage 76ers team to the finals.
Yeah.
I mean, respect to those players, but he didn't have any help. He changed the game a bit, and he also, just for the culture, the way he dressed, dude, his cornrows, like everything, and on top of the fact he was a great player. He really was. And so, yeah, that's why I have him.
That's such a good pick. Wow.
At my number 5. So let's bring that to your number 4, dude.
Give me the big diesel, Shaquille O'Neal.
No way, dude. All right, we're right here in agreement. I have Shaq number 4.
Love Shaq.
Yes,
Not
sir.
only was he a great basketball player, rapper, actor, now he's a businessman. I mean, what can he not do? I mean, anytime you turn on an NBA game, you see a commercial with Shaquille O'Neal in them. I mean, fantastic guy, but even better basketball player. I mean, in his career, averaged 23 points, 10 rebounds. I mean...
Oh, but you got to
might be a little higher.
You got to look at his... he's such a big guy. He obviously had a peak. And his peak was from around the 92 season to about the 04-05 season. And in that time, he was averaging around probably 27 a game and just an absolute tank down low.
Oh, yeah.
Unstoppable. There's nothing you could do about Shaq. He literally created an entire move for the NBA, Hack-a-Shaq, where they foul big guys because they can't shoot free throws. Because if you didn't foul him, he was literally going to just make a bucket. He's too big. I mean, he's not the tallest NBA player of all time, but I'd say he's the biggest.
He's big. I mean,
he's the biggest NBA player.
That's a big boy.
Yeah, he had some girth on him.
One, I think a lot of people kind of overlook him when they talk about great players, especially when it comes to championships. I mean, you talk about the MJs, LeBrons, Kobe's. But, I mean, Shaquille O'Neal, 4-time NBA champ, 3-time finals MVP, and as a 7-1 center, was a 2-time scoring champ.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Ridiculous.
That's crazy. I mean, dude, they were just feeding him the ball.
Yeah. And there was nothing, like, defenses just couldn't stop him. I mean, there was no way to stop. And really, even now in the NBA, there's no way to stop a 7-1, 325. And like you said, that's where Hack-a-Shaq came from, is because just couldn't stop him. The only thing he couldn't do good or do well at was make free throws.
Yeah.
And so they just, hey, let's send him to the free throw line. We'll have a better chance of him shooting free throws than just letting him do whatever he does in the paint.
Exactly. And Yeah, I completely agree with you, man. And the best thing about Shaq is, and I know this shouldn't contribute to our basketball list, is just himself off the court. And he's had to make the most money of almost any NBA player except for Jordan, obviously, who just struck gold with the shoe brand. But he's everywhere, man. I think he is part owner of Carnival Cruise Line.
He's everywhere. I couldn't even tell you what
I think he
owns or what he has partnerships in.
He's a part owner of the Kings as well, I think.
I think so.
If one of
the
3
owners,
parts.
yeah.
But his on the court stuff can't be undermined either. I mean, three rings in a row, and he was better than Kobe at that time.
Oh yeah.
He wasn't carrying the Lakers, but he was the centerpiece of that Laker team. Kobe was good, but he was great at that time.
Oh, yeah.
And also the one with D Wade in Miami.
Oh yeah.
That was his last hoorah. His body was breaking down. He was getting old, and I remember watching that series. That was when I was just old enough. I was probably 9 at the time, and I remember watching that, and he just still was able to do so much with more of a broken down body. I think he kind of transformed his game just for a couple years into a skill player.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always a skill player, but he wasn't able to just dunk on everyone.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, he had
more finesse.
A little more finesse, and I thought that was really cool. So, shout out to Shaq.
Just a quick question. Do you think some of the reasons that he's not in when you're talking about some of the greatest players of all time, sometimes he's left out. Do you think that could be a part of he was on 5 different teams and had that run-in with Penny and then had the run-in with Kobe? And, I mean, do you think some of that stuff plays a role into how people perceive him when we're talking about him in his whole career as a player?
Yes. I don't know. First of all, I think he should have retired.
Yeah.
Probably in 2007. He should have retired once it started getting bad. That always hurts you. But I don't think that's the whole reason. I think a lot of it was his fun-loving attitude, his quarrels, like you said, with Kobe and Penny. And also, I think people are just biased towards ball handlers.
It's a very good point. It's a very good point.
I personally wouldn't say I am. If I had an all-time list, I would definitely have Kareem and Will on there. But
I mean, it's just easier to put ball handlers on top. I mean, they always have the ball.
Yeah, they always have the ball.
They're usually the one shooting more. I mean, these big guys get a lot of points on putbacks and dunks, stuff like that. And you see it all the time, but you don't really go, man, look at that shot, look at that. So I think you're right. It is easier to put some of those guys up a little higher.
For sure. So we were in agreement on that one.
That actually surprised me. I'm glad we were in agreement.
Yeah, I'll throw you to number 3, sir.
I'll go the big ticket, Kevin Garnett.
Woo! Yeah. You're throwing it back.
I'm throwing it back.
What is your reason for that, sir?
Well, I mean, you look at his stats, 17 and 10, but also, for me, I mean, we talk about him and Shaq, 78.9% free throw shooter. I mean, let's calm down a little bit. But personally, for me, growing up watching those Celtics teams, he was a big part of those teams. You couldn't watch a Celtics game without seeing Kevin Garnett. So I think that played a big role of why he's at least so high in my list. But, I mean, one of the greats when it comes to the big man. I mean, that's why he's called the big ticket. I mean, and really not big, but not Shaq big. I mean, 6'11", 240, was kind of more of that slender frame.
He was the predecessor to today's big man.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
he was the first Giannis.
Exactly.
He was the first Joel.
He was. That was when it still took a little long to make that full transition that we see today. But you're right. I mean, he was the first real. Hey, instead of being a 7-foot, 300-pound guy that's just gonna get rebounds and putbacks and all that stuff. I mean, he was a guy that was not as tall, not as big. Used a lot more finesse, used a lot more skill than just, hey, be physical down low and use your size. And so I think that plays a huge role in it. 15-time All-Star, obviously in the Hall of Fame, and then obviously won a ring with the Celtics. So
yeah, and I think when we're talking about these all-time lists, I think you have to factor in changing the game.
Oh yeah,
and he certainly did. Like I said, he's a predecessor to what we have now. I think that you can see that because the people that are playing now, they were in middle school when maybe not the younger guys, but someone like KD, he was like in middle school when Garnett was on the Celtics or even on the Timberwolves. And so you got to think he modeled his game. Dude, I could be 6'11" and dribble the ball.
Well, and even like, James Wiseman, who we're very familiar with because he went to Memphis, is from Tennessee, this area in Tennessee. But, I mean, even a guy like that, he said, I looked up to Kevin Garnett growing up. That was a guy that I modeled my game at. And you see him, he's dribbling the ball up. He's bringing up, he's, using his handles and stuff as like a, 7 foot, however big he is. But, I mean, he's a big guy. He's not a little guy. And so I think when you look, he was definitely one of the guys that kind of gave, I'm a bigger guy, but I can do something like that. I don't have to just be a back to the goal, let me do a turnaround and dunk on somebody. I can use a little more finesse. I can do a little bit more than what people think I can do.
Yeah, exactly. And, the stats speak for themselves. And honestly, that one, it didn't fly over my head. I had the thought, but he's not on my list. But I will say you have to mention anything is possible when he won that ring with the Celtics. You see them memeing Patrick Beverley after that.
Oh no!
No, he won.
The play-in game.
Yeah, he won.
Oh no.
Yeah, but
I didn't see that. I wish I had.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, old Patrick Beverley's getting a little bit memed right now for how excited he was for just sneaking into the playoffs.
Hey, big game.
He was slamming some beers afterwards and everything. But anyway, so for my number 3, I'm a known LeBron skeptic, but you have to appreciate the greatness. And so I have Mr. LeBron James at number 3, the chosen one, as you figured out last episode.
The Akron Hammer.
The Akron Hammer, dude. A lot of nicknames. So I have LeBron James. I mean, completely speaks for itself, dude. He's a career 27-7-7 guy. Yeah. 4 rings, 10 finals. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to contradict myself throughout this with some of our topics.
It is what it is.
I felt like some of those finals were a bit easy to get to with the state of the East. Everyone was dodging LeBron, so the West was just stacked, which obviously showed on his record in the finals because didn't really stand a chance a lot of the years. But yeah, dude, great player, great passer, good scorer. He's improved his three-point shooting over time. I mean, he does everything good.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he is in the top echelon of every single thing on the court.
Well, I mean, that's why the argument every NBA offseason, because nobody has anything better to talk about, is MJ or LeBron. It's who is the greatest of all time. So, I mean, obviously, a lot of people, I'm right there with you. I'm not a huge LeBron fan, but, I mean, you got to recognize that the greatness that he has done in his time in the NBA. So, I like that pick. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. As for me, it's some of the off-the-court comments, but also the way he plays just isn't. I don't like if you're supposed to be the best player in the world, and I know he's trying to make the right basketball decision when he does
passing up those
but
last
I don't
shots.
like him passing up the last shots to a third-year player or second-year player or just some guy that's on the floor. And I know, okay, you're getting double-teamed, whatever the case may be. But why not draw up a play to inbound it to someone else, to pass it to you, to shoot the last shot?
Throw him off a little bit.
Right. For me, I don't like that. Like, dude, you are self-proclaimed best player in the world. Take the last shot. Put it on your shoulders. And I know he's made a couple, but they were few and far in between. And for him, you could tell when he made those, it was like a huge weight off his shoulder. He was like, okay, now I have something to fall back on.
Now
like,
I can point
y'all
back to
remember
this,
when I made that shot? Yeah, I think there was a big one in Chicago back when D Rose was good.
Yeah.
Maybe like 2012. I did
Yeah.
make a
Remember way back
last-second shot.
10 years, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
When I made that shot.
But I mean, he's made some clutch baskets. I would just like to, and it's like his stats always look good. Even his fourth quarter stats look good.
Oh yeah.
But I'm like, when I'm watching the game, I'm like, you didn't just take over.
Yeah.
So, but best all-around player of all time, I think.
Oh, yeah.
We can all agree with, if you attribute every single part to the game, best all-around, just not the greatest at any particular thing. But he's had some sicko blocks, too.
Oh, yeah.
Some chase down blocks.
That one, what was it, like 2018 that was early, like 2016, 2017 in the finals.
2016 finals when they won. When they came back down 3-1,
Yeah.
he blocked Iguodala.
And that was like the changer. That block changed the whole series. I mean, that was the momentum completely flipped after that block.
So he's definitely had his moments, and just in a regular season, like if you're going 20 years ago, you're saying who do I want? You're picking LeBron.
Oh yeah.
LeBron's gonna take you to a winning record every year,
For sure.
except for this year. But I mean, I think that was bad general management on the GM's part. But anyways, who do you got for number 3, man?
Number 2, because I had Kevin Garnett for number 3.
Oh, sorry. About that.
No, you're good. Number 2, and I went back and forth with 1 and 2. I'm gonna go with the late great Kobe Bryant.
All right.
18-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champ. I mean, I could go on and on about Bean. Love Kobe. 25 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists in his career. Great career.
But some of those years were much bigger than that.
Exactly.
You're talking about like the coming down the stretch.
Oh yeah.
He had a couple. I mean, one year he averaged 35.
Yeah, and 31 the year right after that.
31 the year after that, and that was a stretch of, let's look at 28, 25, 30, 24, 27. Like we said, 35, 31, 28, 26, 27. I mean, he had like a 9-year streak of.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it is like when he first came into the league, everyone wants to sit around and think that Kobe was just fantastic when he got in the league. He really wasn't. He was a good player, but he wasn't the Kobe Bryant everybody knows now. And so I think, that those first couple of years trying to get that footing, get that NBA experience, and then his 4th or 5th year, I mean, that's when he really shot off. And then you see those, 30 points a game, 35, 31, 28. You're seeing all that. And then it's like the same thing down the stretch. It's almost like a hill. You got to climb up the hill. You get to the top, and then you kind of start coming down the hill. And we remember those last couple of years where it was just kind of like Kobe.
Well, after he tore his Achilles, which
it's like Kobe, just
hanging
up, man. I love you.
Yeah, he should have hung it up earlier, but I mean, he just loved the game.
I don't blame him. I mean, if I was Kobe Bryant, I probably would never want to retire. I probably would never retire.
Yeah, so, and I attribute some of his early unsuccess to Phil Jackson not really giving him the time he needed in his first 2 or 3 years playing. I think he needed more minutes and time to develop.
I mean, that's the thing. His first 2 years.
Yeah, he had 15 minutes played, 26 minutes played.
I mean, he only started 7 games.
Yeah.
In 2 years.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know why they were trying to play him. But, remember, he was like an all-star.
Yeah. And that second year, he was an all-star off the bench.
He was an all-star off the bench. Like, everyone knew.
Oh, yeah. Everyone knew
it's just,
what it was.
I don't know what I'd like to hear the theory behind that.
I think some of it could be is just Phil Jackson is an old-school coach and is like, you're new to the league. You got to sit and learn. You're not ready for this. You got to... that's just the only thing I can think of because, I mean, when you have a guy of that talent, I get he averaged, 7.5 points his first year? But, I mean, let's be honest. And I know the game's changed a lot this year. Zaire Williams is seeing way more playing time and way more starts than Kobe Bryant did in his first 2 years combined.
Yeah. And everyone knew Kobe was going to be great.
Exactly.
I don't understand it.
So, and I mean, maybe another thing that could have played in is that Kobe didn't go to college. Kobe was very young, an 18-year-old when he got to the league. So that could be some of it. I mean, guys are still that young today, but I think maybe it's like, hey, you're not playing with, 15-year-olds like in Philadelphia, like you were last year. You're playing with grown men. You know,
Yeah.
you got to learn the game. I don't know, but I do love Kobe.
Well, I think we got to talk about the great things about Kobe. So obviously 5 rings, 2 of those really on his back.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, really on his back, and he was close a couple other times when it was his team. You know, obviously had a couple scoring championships. What was he? 18 times. 18-time All-Star in 20 seasons.
18-time All-Star.
And, you know, everyone's favorite thing about Kobe. The thing that makes Kobe so much fun and is the Mamba mentality.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, I was mentioning just a minute ago, people don't really want to be like people want to be like Kobe.
Oh, yeah.
Kobe was our Jordan. And he was, you know, the same kind of player, too. But his mentality, his work ethic, the way he carried himself, even in interviews after he was retired before he passed away, he was a bit nicer.
Oh, yeah.
He definitely had a reputation for being really hard on his teammates. But I kind of like that because, dude, if you want to be the best, you got to show up for work.
Yeah.
And he was mad that other people wouldn't wake up at 4:30 in the morning and be at the gym. And they always said he was the first to the gym, the last to leave the gym. You know, he definitely had his athleticism at the beginning of his career, but I'd say that definitely tapered out after a few years. Like, he really wasn't an athletic player after about, I would say it was the switch to 8 to 24, the numbers. When he switched to 24, he had about 1 or 2 years of athleticism left in him. But when he was winning the titles with Pau Gasol,
Just shoot the ball.
Lamar Odom,
Oh, yeah.
he was just a scorer. Like, that was all skill.
Yeah.
Completely, you know, left his athleticism behind, which we see today and before and all the time. A lot of people can't do. Once they lose that, they're pretty much done and dusted.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I personally, I love just going back and hearing some of the Kobe stories and, like, hearing him talk about just how he approached the game, really how he just approached life. I mean, because he approached it all the same. But I saw one, and you always see this one come up. I can't remember who the player was, but it was another player on an opposing team, was kind of young and in the league, and he said, I'm going to get to the gym 3 hours before the game, and I'm going to be there when Kobe Bryant shows up so that he knows that I'm working just like he's working. And so he says he goes to the gym, he works out for like an hour or so. Kobe never shows up. And so he, plays the game, and Kobe is lights out. I mean, Kobe is unstoppable. And he talks to him after the game. He was like, Kobe, where were you today? I was there early. Where were you? And Kobe goes, I was there 5 hours early today because I knew you were going to show up. I know what type of player you are, and I wanted you to know that even when you are trying to outwork me, I'm still going to outwork you.
I was there, and I already worked out and left before you even got there.
Before you even got there.
You were trying to get there early.
And you were trying to beat me.
Yeah.
And I just love stories like that. And obviously after what he did for even, for taking it further than just basketball, what he did for women's basketball in the short amount of time that he was able to, really just kind of put a spotlight. It was really one of the first NBA players to put a spotlight on the WNBA and kind of call attention to what some of these women are doing who have a lot of skill in playing the WNBA. And so I love Kobe's my favorite. I'm just going to go out and say Kobe's my favorite basketball player of all time. So if I talk a lot about Kobe, it's because I love everything about Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, dude. He's got to be one of my favorite players of all time. God, I just love Kobe so much. But we start getting through some of these.
Yeah.
So for me, number 2, this might come up as a bit of surprise to you. Who do you think? Who do you think it's going to be? Who haven't we mentioned? I'll tell you. I'll give you a hit. It's a current player.
Is it Steph Curry?
Steph Curry,
really?
Baby. Yes,
you know
sir.
What? That's a good one.
Steph Curry.
Wow.
I think Steph. People love to hate Steph, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's because he's so nice that people are like, they just hate
maybe
him
he's
being
so
that
good.
nice, and he's so good. I think, dude, Steph is an incredible basketball player.
Yeah.
stats speak for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
2-time MVP, one of them unanimous.
Yeah.
As a point guard he wasn't doing it. No one before Steph was ever like him.
Yeah.
He changed the game. Mm-hmm. When you go to gyms now, like just how we were talking about how Kevin Garnett changed the game, but Kevin Garnett changed the game for 7-footers. Mm-hmm. Steph Curry changed the game for everyone that plays basketball. He changed the game for coaches, for defensive setups, everything. Yeah. Like, you got to pick him up at the half-court line. And now you see other guys shooting like that. You see Paul George shooting like that. You'll see Dame Lillard shooting like that. Completely changed the game with his three-point shooting. Best three-point shooter ever by far. And just, dude, like, he could have had another life as, like, the best trick shotter of all the time. But, dude, three championships. I think he would have won some of those without KD. I think that Warriors unit with Klay Thompson and Draymond, and, throw in a good, big, solid center in there. I think they would have won without KD, a few more at least. Man, I love Steph Curry.
Steph's
I think he's so much fun to watch, dude. Like, when you go to... And I think a telltale sign is, like, for me, kids always tell the truth.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Kids are the most honest people on earth. If you go to any NBA stadium where Steph is playing, thousands of Steph jerseys. I think adults kind of love to hate him because, like, he is so nice and he's so good, and he just, like, kind of craps on your favorite team, and not even in a mean way. It's just, like, he's, like, smiling about it. So, that's who my number 2 is.
That's good.
Love this guy.
I'm not going to spend a lot of time on my number 1 because he's already on your list, and we talked about him a little bit ago. LeBron James.
All right.
I just, for what he has done for, really, I mean, it goes back to earlier when we were talking about the culture of the game. I mean, what he's done for the culture of sports. I mean, there's very little guys, even on this list, there's very few guys that know them by one name, and everybody around the world, if you just say LeBron, they know who you're talking about. And so, I mean, he's just been so big. People either love him or hate him. And I think that, personally, is how you know if a player is good. If nobody has mixed feelings about him, he's a good player.
Yeah,
very If you either love him or hate him, he's a good player. It just is what it is. So that's probably all I'll say about him. I mean, it's hard to deny what he's done on the court. But I just think when you're looking at who is that guy of our generation, I think it's LeBron. Even though I fought with myself because I wanted to put Kobe number 1, but it is what it is.
I think that's probably at least half the people that would make a list like this. LeBron's probably their number 1. That's around, let's say, 30 years and younger of age.
And that's all the people who love him. All the people that hate him would not have him at number 1. So
right. Which is... I'm kind of on that part, so I put him at my number 3, and I put Steph above him.
That's fine.
But I think
Steph's a great player.
Dude, Steph is a super underrated great player.
Like, he really is.
He should be in everyone's top 10 of all time, in my opinion. But number 1, you already know who it is.
Kobe?
Of course it's Kobe, dude.
You're making me scared. I thought if he wasn't going to be on your all-time, or our lifetime list, you're going to be in trouble.
We talked about the Black Mamba for a while. We talked about the Kobe being Bryant. Not much else to say, dude. I mean, he's both of our favorite player.
Yeah.
So he was our Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
God rest his soul, man, and his daughter and everyone else that was on that terrible helicopter accident. The world seemed to change right after that happened. It's kind of a weird...
Tell me about it.
I mean, that was I'll tell you, I live with a pretty masculine dude. I've lived with him for about 4 years. He was a college basketball player. I've never seen him cry except when Kobe died. And he cried for days, man. He used to have posters. He gave me a poster of Kobe before Kobe died.
Dang.
He was a huge Kobe fan, modeled his game after Kobe in the best light that he could.
Yeah.
He was so inspirational, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I need to go get a pair of Kobe's because they said they're going to keep making them. I used to have some back when I played.
But at one point, they said they weren't.
Yeah, well,
it was very up in the air with
Nike. His family estate decided to keep making them, but they're not going to profit off of it, I don't think.
Interesting.
But anyways, man, you guys are listening to the Double Dribble right here on University of Memphis Radio, The Roar. I think we should kind of hop into our next topic, and I want to flip it around on you because we've been doing a list for a while. We are here in Memphis. I want to ask you who the greatest Grizzly of all time is.
I want to hear yours first because you said you were very up in the air about it.
Okay.
So I want to know who you had, who were your, however many guys you were debating. I want to know who they were, and I want to know who you ultimately chose.
Okay. So first and foremost, I want to say this.
Okay.
This is very important, and I don't think it's too early to say this. I think Ja Morant is the best Grizzly player that has ever played on the team.
That's the question, isn't it?
No. I said greatest Grizzly ever.
Oh, I'm sorry. I get best and greatest confused.
Yeah.
Right,
I think Ja Morant's early. We're talking year 3 here.
Yeah.
I think he's the best Grizzly, the most skilled, definitely the most athletic. We've never had a guy
no,
like
even
that.
close.
We're always kind of boring here in Memphis.
Basketball that will win, but it's not basketball that will entertain.
I just want to say that, and right now as we speak, it is 2022, and we're doing good. The Grizzlies are doing good.
Yeah.
But this is an all-time special, so the greatest Grizzly ever, in my opinion, and I did go back and forth on this, and our core era at the time was so much, grit.
Fantastic.
Grind.
They need I think you know that one picture where it's just them four. They're going to the huddle for a timeout. They need to make that a statue and throw it in front of FedEx Forum
we need
yesterday.
We need history.
We need one. We have plenty of guys you can make statues of. Well, not plenty. We don't have as much as the Lakers, but we have 4 guys that I'd be cool with a statue of any of them. 5, you put Haddadi in there.
Yep. Well, I got Mr. Mike Conley Jr.
It's not a bad pick.
Mike Conley.
Great guy.
Most underrated player of all time, most quiet player, on the court quiet. He seemed like a pretty good dude.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, really good dude. He won the NBA. I forget the award name.
No,
basically, being a nice charitable guy. He won it many
community
times.
award. Yeah,
he won the NBA Community Award a lot. But yeah, so I got Mr. Mike Conley, dude. He's a career 15 points per game. 17 PER, which is pretty good. That's up there. 5 assists, But the thing that made Mike Conley good was he was a really good floor general.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think our teams that we had several years in a row of going to the playoffs, and one year we went deep into the semifinals, or I guess the conference finals.
Made it to the finals, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Conference finals, not finals. Right?
Yeah, conference finals, not finals. We've never done that. Hopefully soon. But we don't do any of that without Mike Conley.
Yeah.
He was tough. Remember playing with the face mask?
Oh man.
I just think he played here for a long time. We don't have that storied of a history.
Yeah.
But we got to commemorate Mike Conley and what he did. I mean, when he was here in his prime, he was good, dude.
Oh yeah.
And let's see, 2016-17, he was averaging 20 points a game. 2018-19, he was averaging 21 a game. Those are good numbers. He missed out on the All-Star bouts, but I think that was because it's quiet. I think if he was a flashier player with the same numbers and the same wins with his team, he would have been an All-Star.
Oh, yeah.
He was just a quiet
he got
assassin.
snubbed a couple years.
Yeah, he definitely got snubbed, and people talked about him getting snubbed, but... Yeah, so who you got for your greatest Grizzly ever? And I'm sorry, but I'm just going to throw out, obviously, that core group of Zebo and Marc Gasol, Tony Allen. All those were considerations.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I'm going to say all of those guys were considerations for me, too. Have great respect for the core 4. Love them. I mean, the deepest spot in my heart belongs to the core 4. But I got to go Ja Morant.
You're already there?
Just from a standpoint of when we talk about being a small market, being a team that doesn't have that storied franchise history, when Ja Morant came onto the scene and wins Rookie of the Year, and then, is a player that people really considered to be in the MVP conversation this year, and just... you've got J. Cole and other rappers putting them in songs, and you've got, I was watching, I forgot what playoff game I was watching the other day, but in the whole duration of just the first half, I saw 3 different commercials with John Morant in it. None of them were the same. So, like, there was an NBA commercial, there was a body armor commercial, and there was one more commercial. A Spider-Man. He's in a Spider-Man commercial. Have you seen that commercial?
I haven't seen it, no.
It blew my mind because I'm just sitting there and I see John Morant talking about whatever, and he's like watching Spider-Man on TV, and then he calls and he's like, "Hey, coach, I'm gonna wear the suit tonight." And you hear, it's not Taylor Jenkins, but it's someone acting like he's the coach, and he's like, "You can't, how many times do I have to tell you, you can't wear your Spider-Man suit to the game?" And then like it pans over and he's got like the Spider-Man. But it's crazy how in just such a short span of time he has become superstar. And I mean, it's not just here, it's not just in the Western Conference, it's
everywhere.
all over the country. It's everywhere you go. I mean, I have heard people who cover the team and are on radio and on TV talk about how when they go to these other arenas, there are people who are not Grizzlies fans, but come in with John Morant jerseys on, there to see John Morant. I mean, I remember Philadelphia, I think it was. The whole place turned into the John Morant show, and people were oohing and ahhing at everything John Morant did. This is on the road in Philadelphia, of all places. I mean, a place that hates their own players is chanting and cheering for John Morant. So I just think what he's done for the city, even though it's been such a short time, and I don't like doing that. I like people having, some depth on their careers to be able to start throwing greatest around. But I don't know. I think just because of how short the span has been with Memphis, I think he's already there.
Yeah, I cannot disagree with you. And, I mean, it's just so blatantly obvious that we've never had such a star like this. Like, he's legitimately a superstar.
Oh, yeah.
NBA commentators or just sports fans, literally regular people in the sports sphere, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, the NBA Instagram. Yeah. We've never been on NBA Instagram so much.
ESPN brought the whole studio to Memphis for a game just because of John Morant.
Yeah, so we've never been in the limelight like this. Now everyone's talking Memphis. We're the number 2 seed right now. Again, this is an all-time show. We'll say in 21-22 season, we finished second in the West. Good team. John Morant led that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's hard for me to disagree with you. I just wanted to put that stamp on respect to Mike 100%. Conley, the core 4. So I'm glad we actually disagree on that.
I was worried we were going to be the same, but I'm glad we disagree.
Yeah.
How about, since we're talking greatest, how about Jordan or LeBron? We talked about that a little bit. Jordan 6 for 6 in finals. Then LeBron has been there more times, but less wins. Who you got in that?
All right, so I have a confusing answer.
Okay, I love confusing answers. Let's do it.
And it goes off how I've been impressed.
Because I have a very simple answer. So.
Oh, okay. So good. So for me, I think the 6 for 6 to me is cooler. Mm-hmm. It's greater. Mm-hmm. I don't look at longevity and consistency in the same light as I do peaks. Mm-hmm. Jordan peaked for 3 titles in a row 2 separate times.
Yeah.
And literally quit and played baseball and sucked at it.
Yeah, not a great ball player.
No, not a great ball player, but whatever.
Fantastic.
He's not a great golfer either.
No.
I wish I could take some money off of him. But, yeah, so, and Jordan was just like, I know
He's
we're just
the guy.
He just his aura, everything about him, dude. The shoes, the attitude, the cigars, the sunglasses, the turtlenecks, the way he dressed was how people dressed.
Yeah.
Even I feel like he had a inspiration, the way he dressed when he golfed, inspired Tiger Woods how he dressed when he golfed. Loose pants, turtlenecks, cigar in your mouth, dude, some sunnies. And just everything about him, he led his team. His stats speak for themselves. 6 rings, which is more than Mr. LeBron.
Mm-hmm. Who you admittedly dislike.
I don't dislike him. I just don't have a liking for him.
Right.
But on the other side of that, dude, being as great as LeBron has been for as long as he's been, I believe it's year 19. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's year 19.
I believe,
for him.
yeah.
But
year
10 finals, 4 rings. One of them arguably a Mickey Mouse ring, as people would call it.
An asterisk beside it.
It was in the bubble during the peak of COVID. No fans, anything like that.
That's the only ring he's won in LA.
Oh, yeah. Well, his other years in LA have been a complete disaster. So let's just put that there.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with Bryant. The reason the 10 finals doesn't impress me is because of how weak the Eastern Conference was for at least 6 of those appearances. When he was in Cleveland, if there was another good team, like none of those should have been finals appearances, except for maybe when K-Love and Kyrie Irving were actually healthy. But how many of those he went to, I think, 3 of those finals when they were injured. And the second best player on his team was like Matthew Dellavedova.
Deli.
No, but he had like Kyle Korver and like Tristan Thompson.
Right.
Like, how does that team make it to the finals?
That's true. It's a good
And
point.
what's funny about that is now it's completely kind of flipped again, and now the East is real stacked.
Oh, yeah.
But I put a lot of weight on it. I think it's impressive to go to the finals 10 times in this modern era with 30 teams. Pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah.
4 wins. 4 wins is super respectable.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, it's the Jordan 6 for 6. I think Jordan was a better player. I don't think he was a better all-around player, but I think he was a greater player. His mindset, the shots, the shot of him against Utah, draining that, free throw line like area shot.
Yeah.
What's that called again in basketball? God, I should know this. Like the corner of the free throw
Oh,
line.
the elbow?
The elbow.
Yeah.
And jumping like 45 feet in the air.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. One of the greatest all-time videos and pictures.
Yeah. So for me, it was Jordan. He's probably the only player that wasn't from our generation that I've watched hours of highlights of.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen some of other guys, Larry and Magic, but Jordan is just like the basketball icon.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the 6 for 6 is more impressive. I think if you said whose is better, Bryant's 6 for 6 or Tucker's 4 wins, 6 losses, I'm saying 6 for 6.
Yeah.
Even if it has nothing to do with their off the court or on the court personalities. What about you?
I'm going to be very simple in this. Win the games. Okay? You go 10 times, win the games. You go 6 times, you did win the games. I'll go Jordan.
All right.
Very simple.
Simple. I think, we got to give a little bit of slack to LeBron.
No, win the games. Win the games.
Dude, some of those were against KD, Steph.
Also,
Clay.
I must say, and you made some good points about some of those Cleveland teams, but I mean, assembled a super team down in Miami, then goes back to Cleveland when Kyrie Irving's there, and then goes over to LA and tries to make another super team. And that one failed. First one was good. This one failed. LeBron, win the games.
For me, the losses in Miami and the breakdown against his in Dallas, that hurt. How did he come up so small in that series?
Well, I think
he lost in
another
11
thing.
and 14.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and I think another thing is, like, look at all the guys he had around him in Miami. That was a super team. Even, you look, obviously, Dwayne Wade is there, and
he was still good at the time.
Oh, yeah.
D-Wade was still good.
And D-Wade was great. Chris Bosh was there. Chris Bosh was still playing really well. But, they also had guys like Mike Miller was on at least one of those teams. They had guys around just that. Because everyone talked about the big three.
Udonis was good back then.
Udonis was good back then.
Haslam.
And was Ray Allen was on one of those teams.
Oh, yeah. He was on.
He made that big shot against the Spurs.
He saved them. So, he won that.
They had so many guys that could step up at any moment and really change the finals. And yeah, look, I'm not trying to argue with it because those Bulls teams were unbelievable with the guys that they had on it. But all I'm trying to say is that I put more value in, I won 6 rings in one place against well, I won a couple down here, then I went over here and won one, and then I'm over here now and I won one, but can you really call it one because, I did win it in a shortened season, and we were in a bubble, and nobody knew what was really going on, and everybody was a little disoriented, and people were out all the time. But, so I put just a little more emphasis on, hey, I went 6 times, won 6 times, all in the same place.
Dude,
go.
I put an asterisk on all of the sports that had shortened seasons on those rings.
Oh, yeah.
The MLB one, I think they played like 50 or 60 games.
Yeah.
I put an asterisk on, I think it was the Dodgers.
It was the Dodgers.
Yeah, I put an asterisk on that.
Get out of
And
here.
they took my boy Freddie Freeman from the Braves. I'm a Braves guy. I used to live in Georgia, yeah.
Oh, it makes sense.
Yeah. So, again, you guys are listening to the Double Dribble here on University of Memphis Radio, The Roar. All right. I just want to ask you, real simple, one answer question.
Oh.
And you have to change it. It's,
Okay.
who is your favorite player of all time? And I think we both said Kobe, so let's change it. So let's say who's your second favorite player of all time?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, you just threw that on me.
I can go if you want to think.
This is going to be so wild for me to say. Kyrie Irving.
Not wild at all, dude. Kyrie is like one of those guys.
I love Kyrie.
He's great.
Oh, yeah.
He hasn't done that much.
No.
But people love him.
I love
They have
Kyrie.
his shoes, his shirts. Like, dude, he's just sick.
Yeah.
Like, if Kyrie is in a gym, right? This is what I always think of, like someone in a gym with like skilled basketball players, but just playing pickup.
Oh, yeah.
Kyrie's like the nastiest
Oh,
dude.
ridiculous.
Like, his ball handling. I mean, dude, the way he just like turns around and shoots over big guys, but he'll just shoot like way higher than normal and still drain it. Kyrie's a sicko.
He's fantastic.
He's like I said, my roommate loved Kobe. Like Kyrie's his current favorite player.
Oh, yeah. Dude, Kyrie's all. I also.
He's a
love
ball player's. He's a ball player's favorite player.
Yeah. No, Kyrie's all. I loved him at Duke. Literally, my favorite Duke player ever is Kyrie Irving. I love Kyrie. Yeah, so he'd probably be my second. Behind Kobe would probably be Kyrie.
All right, so mine's gonna surprise you too.
Okay. LeBron.
Damien,
What a shock.
No. It's someone off the greatest list,
Okay.
but he's my favorite player besides Kobe. Like, that's playing right now. Damien Lillard.
Oh.
Dame time.
Oh. No, Damien Lillard. That's a fantastic pick. I love Dame. Actually, Damien Lillard, I think a lot of people are starting to forget about how bad of a man he really is because of the injuries he's had.
Yeah, he had down
out
year.
this year, So I don't think a lot of people are talking about it. That's a bad man right there. I mean, I think all time, if I'm going to pick one player to take a last-second shot, a game winner, Damien Lillard, every day.
Yeah. No, dude. His highlights of the last second shot when he was a rookie versus Houston in the playoffs gives me chills every time. They were at home court and the crowd went absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
I've never seen a crowd go that crazy. The logo shot in the playoffs versus OKC.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, dude. Dame time.
Game time.
The reason I love him so much is because he's great. He's good.
Oh, yeah.
But he's so clutch. It's not even just the buzzer beaters, dude. It'll be like with 45 seconds left to get back into the game or to seal the game.
Or it's like you're down in the fourth quarter
Dude.
and you just need a spark. Dame's going to come in and give you a spark.
He's like one of the best fourth quarter players ever.
Oh, yeah.
I really wish he would leave Portland. God, I wish he would leave
and I
Portland.
keep thinking he's going to, and it seems like every single time something comes up, and it's like, hey, Dame, here's the door. You could really leave right now. He's like, no, I think I'm going to stay in Portland.
Yeah.
I like Portland. No, you don't. Go somewhere else. Ridiculous. But I do love Dame. Great rapper, too.
Yeah, good rapper.
Dame Dollar.
Dame Dollar. I love his shoes. He has the
he's got
best
a
Adidas
good-
line ever.
Well.
Easily the best. Who do you think has a better Adidas line?
No, I agree with you, but I just don't know how hard it is to have a great Adidas line.
Yeah. No, but his shoes
Mm.
I have a pair of.
Do you really?
Yeah, Dame 2s. Those were the sickest ones, dude. And they used to have this, like, My Adidas saying, like,
Yeah.
all the companies do. But dude, you can make some crazy Dame shoes.
I bet.
But I had his ones that were like his staple. They were kind of gray. They had a little bit of a blue sole like bottom on them.
Yeah.
Sick shoes. I still wear them. They're actually good shoes.
Great shoes. Wow.
But yeah, I love his shoes. For Adidas, which is crazy. Like I don't think anyone's ever sold Adidas like that.
No.
Like everyone's Nike, right?
Yeah.
No one's ever sold
Nike
Adidas. Like
Jordan.
people buy Adidas basketball shoes just because they're Dames.
Yeah. Because I mean, D-Rose tried to do it, but
no, D-Rose.
Shout out D-Rose.
He didn't have nearly the success of shoes of Dame Lillard.
No, nowhere close.
But yeah, so I do love Dame Lillard. Kobe's ultimately in my heart is my favorite, but Dame Lillard's my.
That's a good number 2 pick.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a really good number 2 pick. Well, Tucker, we're running out of time.
Let's run through. Let's real quick. On the roar. Let's just run through these. Not even explain it.
Okay.
The audience needs to just look at this themselves.
Of right now players, right?
Right now,
cool.
Top 5 players right now, back to front. You just go ahead and say your list.
5 KD, 4 Joel Embiid, 3 Steph, 2 Nikola Jokic, and number 1 Giannis Antetokounmpo.
We have a very similar list.
I'm sure we do.
I left Jokic off.
Really?
He
list. Barely made my list, but
I know it's just like for me, I'm opinionated. I'm watching the games.
Right.
I don't like the way his attitude is.
Yeah.
I really don't like his attitude. A lot of Europeans' attitudes kind of bother me. No, not in general. My girlfriend's European. My girlfriend's European. Trust me, not in general.
Yeah, just basketball players.
Just basketball
Right.
players. They seem like,
Yeah, no, I see what
and even some player on my list is like that. So for me, Luka can kind of be like that. Has the most techs this season. Technical
That's
fouls.
true.
They tried to ban him for a game, but it got reversed. But it doesn't matter anyways because he got hurt.
Yeah.
So Luka Doncic, great young player. I got KD, number 4. I think he's lost a little bit of his charm.
Yeah.
I think at some points he was the best player in the league.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I got Steph, number 3, who's also lost a little bit of charm.
But injuries and stuff. The past couple years.
Yeah, I'm talking right now though.
Yeah.
Right now, as we speak. But I mean, Steph's probably one of my favorite players playing right now. I got number 2. I got Joel. Should really win MVP this season. In the 22 season, Joel is crazy. You see that game winner?
Oh,
woo! He's finally got one, baby.
Man.
No, but Joel Embiid is sick. I love his story. He didn't start playing basketball till late.
Yeah.
It's funny that 3 of our best players, really, if you add Jokic, are foreigners right now.
Yeah.
But number 1, I got Mr. Giannis, the Greek freak. Dude, he's got the best PR, 29.9 a game. I mean, he probably, if you take out his first couple years that he was developing, he's just a career great.
Oh yeah.
He's got 2 MVPs. He got his first ring. Could win another one. Actually, many more.
Yeah.
I think the thing you have to look at is people kind of overlook Giannis, even though they don't, but they do.
Right.
I think the writer or the people that vote on MVP don't, but I think a lot of people do look over him. But what are the Bucks without Giannis?
That's very true.
Nothing.
That's very true.
I mean, so that's my list: Luka, KD, Steph, Joel, and Giannis.
It's a good list.
Yeah.
Similar. Very good list. But I think everyone's going to be similar. I mean, there's definitely a top tier of guys right now in the league.
There's some guys that got left off.
Yeah.
Ja could be on there.
Ja
Devin
was
Booker.
one of my OLIs.
Jason Tatum. Shout outs to these guys. DeMar DeRozan had a super good season and a pretty good career so far. Trae Young, sick. Donovan Mitchell, sick. Karl Anthony Towns is good. So there's a lot of players you could throw in there, but I think our general 5, I left out the Joker. Yeah. But they're all going to be pretty similar.
Yeah, for sure. For
sure. All right, so any last thoughts before we wrap this thing up? It was such a fun episode to do.
It was fun.
I love
this hour
talking about all-time lists.
Oh, people love lists. The name game is one of the most popular games ever. No, this was fun. This hour flew by.
I was just looking at time thinking I wish we had more because we could have really talked about top 5 players right now for an hour.
Look, just to peek behind the curtain a little bit, we had 3 lists and a couple other things, and we were like, I don't know if that's enough. And we didn't even get to everything we were going to get to today. So
super fun.
That's just how it goes. But we would love to hear your list. You can contact us on social media, The Roar Memphis. What's the official?
Roar Memphis.
Roar
On
Memphis.
Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Yes,
it is Roar Memphis. You can follow us there on our socials.
Give us
Brian
your list.
know.
Send us your list. All time, your lifetime. Who's your favorite Grizzly, or who's your favorite player? What's your all-time Grizzly? We want to hear from you.
Thanks, Bryant. Super fun.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, you can follow me on Twitter at Tucker Maxwell _. Tucker Maxwell _. How about you?
And I'm Bryant _Dacus on Twitter. So go check us both out there. But if you don't have anything else, I guess we'll catch y'all later. Peace.
Peace.